Berachos Daf Nun Vav, we're continuing with an amazing sugya of dreams. Behind me is a mural that a Rav HaGoyin Rabbi Yeshua Pessin drew himself and gave me as a gift. It depicts all the dreams of today and tomorrow's daf. The Gemara tells us that whatever you think during the day, that's what you dream at night. The Gemara tells us two stories where Goyim came to Jews and said, if you're so smart, what are we going to dream tonight? The Jews inserted something in their mind during the day so that they think about it and they dreamt about it. For instance, they said, you're going to be captured by the Persians and you're going to use a golden staff to graze the sheep. That's what happened. Or you're going to use a golden grinder to grind date pits. The Gemara tells us about Bar Hedya. Bar Hedya was a dream interpreter. Depending, if you paid him, he gave you a good interpretation, and if you didn't pay him, he gave you a bad interpretation. Abaye and Rava had 22 dreams. We're not going to go into all of them. But the bottom line is that whatever he interpreted to Rava in the negative, he interpreted to Abaye in the positive. He told Rava, your wife is going to die, your children are going to die, your business is going to do terrible. The king is going to accuse you of breaking into his palace. In fact, the king did accuse Rava of breaking into his palace. Then he told him, you're going to get whacked on the head by two clubs. In fact, Rava walked into the shul and he saw two blind people fighting, and he tried to break up the fight and he got hit twice. They were about to hit him again, and Rava said, stop. I only dreamt that I'm going to get hit twice. He interpreted Rava's dream that he's going to divorce his wives. Two pigeons flying away is a symbol of divorcing a wife. And finally, when Rava paid him, he told Rava that the fact that the wall is falling down means that you're going to have unlimited amount of properties. Abaye's house fell down, and now all of a sudden he throws Abaye under the bus. Even though Abaye paid him, he said Abaye is going to die. You're going to take all of Abaye's Talmidim. My house is falling. Your Torah is going to go everywhere. And Rava says, I saw in my dream that my head split open, my brain fell out. No, that's just the feathers out of your pillow. And finally he tells him, I dreamt that they're saying Halal of Mitzrayim, meaning the regular Halal. So he tells him that means you're going to have Nisim. The Gemara says both Bar Hedya and Rava were about to embark on a ship, and Bar Hedya remembered that Rava is going to have a nace. He said, why should I be on a boat with Rava? If the boat sinks, he'll have a nace, I'll die. So he jumps off the boat. In his hurry to jump off, his book dropped, and Rava peeked in his book and it says, all dreams are interpreted based on the interpretation. Rava looks at Bar Hedya and says, Rasha, why do you interpret my dreams that way? Look what you did to me. You killed my wife and my children and my business. I forgive you for everything. I cannot forgive you for killing the daughter of Rav Chizda, my wife. And he gives him a curse that his head should split open and his brain should fall out. Now that's a very difficult thing to happen. Bar Hedya said, if Rava cursed me, I better do tshuva. Let me go to Gullus. He goes to Rome and he opened up shop in Rome. And sure enough, a customer comes. He's the head of the treasury and he says, I dreamt that a needle is in my finger. Says, Bar Hedya, pay me and I'll tell you the interpretation. Says the treasurer, no. Says, I won't interpret it. The next day he comes to him, he says, I dreamt that I have worms in two of my fingers. Pay me. No. The following day he says, my entire hand is wormy. Says Bar Hedya, you don't have to pay me. I'll tell you what's going on. The king's clothing are wormy. You're in charge of watching it. You should know they're wormy. In fact, that's what happened. They took the treasurer out to kill him, and the treasurer says, well, Bar Hedya knew about this and he didn't tell me. They took Bar Hedya, they tied his two legs to two cedars, they bent the cedars down, tied his legs, let the cedars go, and Bar Hedya's body was split in half, his brain came flying out, and that was the end of him. The Gemara tells us that Rabbi Shmuel also knew how to interpret dreams. Bar Doma came to him and said, my two jaws fell. Says Rabbi Shmuel, don't worry. That means that the two Romans that were after you, they died. My nose fell off. He says that means that the Inger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu fell away. My hands fell off. Says Rabbi Shmuel, that means you're not going to need parnas anymore. My 2 feet fell off. You're not going to need to walk anymore. You're going to have a luxury horse. I dreamt that I'm going to die in Adar and I'm not going to make it to Nisan. He says, no, that means you're going to die with honor and you're not going to have Nisayan, a lashon of Nisan, Nisayan. And the Gemara tells us about probably the worst character in all of Shas, a tzduki that came to Rabbi Shmuel and says, I dreamt that I was pouring oil on top of olives. Says Rabbi Shmuel, that means that you had relations with your own mother. I dreamt that I grabbed a star. That means that you kidnapped a Jew. And I swallowed a star. That means you sold a Jew and you already used up all the money. My eyes are touching one another. That means you had relations with your own sister. I kissed the moon. That means you had relations with Eishes Ish. I stepped on the side of a shadow of on the shadow of a hadas, that means you had relations with a naira hamurasa. I saw a shadow above me, but it was under me. That means that you had relations the wrong way. I saw ravens around my bed. That means you were matam many women. I grabbed onto 2 pigeons and they flew away. You sent away your 2 wives without giving them a get. I peeled an egg. That means you steal from the dead bodies. Says this Zduki, unbelievable. I agreed to everything. I did all of those things that you mentioned, but I did not steal from the dead. In that moment, a woman comes and says, that coat that you're wearing, you stole off the dead. And finally, and this is incredible, why would Rabbi Shmuel help him? I'm not sure. But he tells Rabbi Shmuel, I dreamt that my father said he left me money in Kapoitike. He says that means that he left you money in the 10th beam in your ceiling. In fact, there was money there. If a person dreams about a well, that's a sign of either peace or of Torah, and Rava says of life. If a person dreams of a river, a bird, or a pot, it's a sign of peace as long as the pot doesn't have any meat in it. There are 11 things that the Gemara brings down, and we can't get into it because it's very lengthy, but each one you have to say a specific pasuk and not a different pasuk that could be detrimental to the dream. If a person dreams about a river, about a bird, about a pot, about grapes, he's supposed to say special psukim. About a shofar, a dog, a lion, if you're shaving, a well, a reed, or an ox. If a person dreams about a reed, he should anticipate chachma, and if he dreams about weeds, plural, he should anticipate bina to understand. If a person dreams about gourds, hearts of palm, and wax, it's very good for a dream. Gourds are dreamt only by people that have yirah shamayim. There are 5 things that are said about an ox. If you eat its meat, you become wealthy. If it gores you, your kids will be great in learning. If it bites you, you'll have yisurim. If it kicks you, that means you have a very long journey ahead of you. And if you ride it, that means you're going to climb to greatness. But if it rides you, then that means it's a sign of death. If you dream about a donkey, you should be waiting for Yeshua. If you dream about a cat, depends. If they call the cat Shunra, then you'll have a nice song. If it's called in your city Shinra with a Yud, then you'll have something bad will change. If you dream about white grapes, that's a good sign. Black grapes depends. If it's in its right time, it's a great sign. If it's not in the right time, not in the season, it's a bad sign. If you dream about a white horse, that's a great sign. A red horse depends. If it's moving nicely, that's a great sign. If it's galloping, that's a bad sign. And finally, if you see a Yishmaeli, an Arab, that's the son of Avram, Yishmael, then you should know that your tefillah will be niskabel. But if you see a camel in your dream, that's a really bad sign. Have a wonderful day.